Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Facebook live chat for this week. Today, we're going to talk about character analysis. Um, if you have any questions while we're talking, by all means, please post them, put them into the comments section. I'll be able to answer them live as you ask the questions. If you end up watching this video later, you can still post questions at that time, and I will be able to answer the questions for you then. So, besides your theater review, which is due today, and many of you have already started sending it to me, I also want to talk about the character analysis because that is part of your final project. And as you're looking at your scenes, you're going to want to start thinking about the character, the given circumstances. Now, the one thing that I have noticed, and it doesn't surprise me, is that you're already starting to make some choices on your character based on what you have read in the scene, because you don't really have access to the entire play because the plays are on reserve in the library and you can't get into the library. Keep in mind that that doesn't necessarily excuse you from knowing as much about your character as you possibly can. So you need to start thinking about what are some of the other sources, where are some of the other places that you can go to find information. Well, first of all, you can go to the internet. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can find a downloadable copy of your play on the internet in a PDF form. I'm not asking you to buy anything or to order anything, but you may be able to find a free copy of it on the internet. So make sure you search for it to find out that information. Secondly, you can go online and Google or use Yahoo, any search engine that you want, to try to find a synopsis of the play. In that synopsis, excuse me, in that synopsis, you will be able to find information about the character, what happens to the character, what is the character's arc as you're moving through the play, and so that's important information as well. It'll also give you information just in terms of the time period that the play is taking place in, so that you're not making mistakes or making assumptions based on when you think the play is happening as opposed to when it's really happening. Finally, and I think is a really good source, is to go on YouTube and search for scenes of the play that you're doing, or maybe even entire recorded versions of the play. These are plays that are getting done in high schools and colleges all around the country, and a lot of people like to record their performances and put them on YouTube. So you can also learn a lot about your character and the arc of the character by watching scenes from it on YouTube or entire performances of the play on YouTube. So make sure you get as much research as you possibly can to find out as much about the entire script as you can, so that you're making choices based on that information and not just on the brief scene that you're finding located in Blackboard. Now, when you look at the character analysis assignment, and you'll find this assignment posted in Blackboard under assignments, it says character analysis. Some important things for you to think about. The character analysis is the fundamental detective work of the actor. All of the questions that you ask should be stated in the first person to answer the overriding question, who is this person that I have been asked to play? Or, who am I? So listed on that analysis, you will find the steps and only some of the hundreds of possible questions. Now, you're encouraged to make up questions yourself, which are particularly pertinent to your character. These questions will give you some ideas of the specificity involved in analyzing the character. The answers to these questions and many more may not be obvious from your first reading of the script or from the first watching of a video, however you find your information. As unusual as it sounds, many inexperienced actors do not even read the entire play when they do a scene or a monologue, and maybe that they think that they can find all the answers from a short amount of the dialogue. As we're discovering, you can't find all the answers just from reading the scene that you find posted in Blackboard. So in fact, there are very small roles which demand that an actor create a full life for the character with little help from the playwright. Playwrights give us a lot of information. They don't give us everything. They don't give us all of the given circumstances. So we have to read the entire play to be able to fill in the blanks. So careful reading of the text, or watching of the videos, or researching the synopses with particular attention to every minuscule nuance is fundamental to creating a character. So you must care about those minute details, the way your character speaks, what they wear, what they purchase, what they read, what they listen to, etc. If you don't do this type of work, it's likely that your characterization will fall short. And so therefore, your creation of the character and your performance of the character will fall short. They'll be more one-dimensional as opposed to the three-dimension that we want when it comes to creating a character. So when you're writing your character analysis, with the information which is given to you by the playwright, these are the given circumstances that we've been talking about, then you are to determine the cultural or the historical research that's required. You are to see the world through your character's eyes, not your own. You'll find yourself making assumptions about human behavior and interaction, but you must do this and be aware that your own experiences and prejudices may cause you to jump to conclusions, revealing your own ideas more than the playwright's. So even though you may have a lot of personal feelings about the character, you want to make sure that those feelings are not yours, but they are feelings that are based upon the needs of the character. So as you research the play, it's helpful to take notes. Part of the rehearsal process is coming to an understanding of character, but the more that you can discover through the reading and analyzing, the deeper your understanding of the character. So your character analysis is a way of opening this world and creating more inspired choices. We have a couple of questions. I see that, I'm sorry, my phone is tilted to the right. About the analysis, in addition to writing in first person, do we have to write how the character's voice is speaking? Yes. So it's important that you write it as if your character is doing the writing. If you are creating a character that is a teenager, then you have to write the way that that teenager would write. If you're creating the character who is a college professor, you should write the way that a college professor writes. The bottom line is that you need to be able to get into the mind of the character and write it as if your character is making those choices, is talking about themselves. Now you'll discover on that character analysis assignment, there's about 3 pages of questions. Your analysis should be at least 1,000 words, which is about 3 to 4 pages long. So the bottom line is that even if you were able to answer those questions, you would pretty much have the information that you need. But you're putting this in a narrative form, as if I were to ask your character, tell me about your life. And then they would just start talking about who they are, where they come from, who their parents are, how they grew up, what their background is like, who are their friends, what are their likes, their dislikes, these sorts of things. So it becomes real important for you to really put yourself in the mind of this character. Research that you do also plays a big part. Obviously, the play itself is a source of information, but if you're playing a character that is experiencing things that you've never experienced before, and chances are really good that that's true. Rarely do we play a character that is just like us. I would say never would we play a character who is just like us. So if you're playing a character that you don't necessarily associate with or understand everything they're going through, you need to do research. And that research is part of your bibliography that you attach to the end of your character analysis. Perhaps the character grew up in a state that you have never been, grew up in a city you have never been, has different experiences that you have never experienced. You can't make assumptions about what those things are like. Think back to the group improvisation that we did earlier in the semester, where you all had to attend the school board meeting. And you were all assigned characters. You were members of the school board, you were parents, you were students in the school. There was a school levy that was being voted on. All this information, you had to do a lot of research to be able to know what it was that you were talking about. This is true for your character analysis as well. You will create a bibliography, which will be attached at the end of the character analysis. Everyone should have at least one thing on their bibliography, which is the source, the play that it comes from. But beyond that, any other research that you do, any other websites that you go to, magazine articles that you read, etc., that should go into your bibliography as well. If you have a difficult time being able to put together a bibliography, I do recommend different sites, for example, bibme.org, which is a place that you can go to help you be able to create the bibliography. I prefer that you use APA or MLA. There's a lot of different types of bibliographies that you can use for this particular assignment. It's really open to you and what's going to be most beneficial to you as far as working with and learning when it comes to your future careers and how you might be writing. Like I said, it should be about 1,000. What should be 1,000 words. It can be more. You should also do a word count when you're completed with it and put your word count at the end of your character analysis. This is not due until April the 27th, which is the same day that your video of you performing the character is due as well. It is your final assignment. If you have questions concerning this assignment as we move through the next few weeks, by all means, please let me know. If you want to put together drafts and email me drafts to let me know how things are going, that would be helpful as well. There is no assignment that is due for next Monday, so you have a couple of weeks now without assignments that you can work on this. And then next week we'll discuss what your next assignment is that's coming up, which is the quiz over theatrical terms. And we'll talk more about that next Monday on Facebook Live and how you can prepare for that. Before I sign off, I'll ask if there are any additional questions. If there are no questions, feel free to check back to this site with your questions later and I'll answer them for you. As always, make sure that you check Blackboard every day. Make sure you check your emails every day. There was a question whether I wanted video of rehearsal. I do not require that. If you want to send me videos for me to look at or post videos for me to look at, that is absolutely fine, but it is not a requirement. Normally, if we were in class, the rehearsal process would be part of what I would be looking at. We don't really have that option here in this particular environment, so it's more of our feedback, our conversation back and forth, you asking me questions, me being able to answer them, that can be able to compensate for that. So if you want to send me video, that is fine, but I don't need video until I see your final performance on April the 27th. Are there any other questions for today? If there are no other questions for today, or at least for right now, I will sign off for now. Feel free to continue asking questions if you want. I will monitor this site once I sign off to see if you have any additional things that you want to ask. Once again, take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and I'll be talking to you soon. Take care.